Shabbat Shalom, Mishpacha. We are here at another Sabbath and another teaching, Baruch Hashem, for this week. Now, let's first of all talk about what's been happening in the world around us. As far as I know, the information that I have at hand, UK is formally or informally in a recession, and they just had a mini spring budget in which, as usual, they like to give a few sweeteners, keep the prices of wines and alcohol frozen, and keep the duty low, and then they give you from one side and they take it from the other side. That's usually what happens in the UK. Whilst the fuel prices, gas bills, utility bills are all-time high. That's the situation in UK. The war in Ukraine and Russia, well, it's pretty obvious if anybody looks at it that Ukraine's already lost that war. And here's something to consider. Something to consider is this, that if you had domestic issues like people in America, maybe in the UK, people who were needy, people who needed help, maybe in their paying their bills, maybe, buying a home, maybe doing other things. How many times have you heard the government say, hey, we're giving $100 billion away, for those people who are the first-time buyers and want to help them, we're going to fund them. They're only going to come up with 5%, and we're going to give the 95% money as a loan or whatever. And we're going to help those people. $100 billion, okay? Seems like a lot of money. It's not. How many times have we heard that in the US? We haven't. In the UK, Europe region, we've never heard of it. How many times have you heard, we're giving $100 billion aid to Ukraine. We're sending $50 billion aid to Ukraine now. We're sending $100 million of weapons. We're sending $150 billion of aid for weapons. Throughout this last year in 2023, constantly on your screens was Ukraine getting aid from America, from Europe. Europe didn't send billions, but America sent in billions of dollars of aid. Maybe, I think close to, probably have to, work it out, but close to, Ukraine's already received over $200 billion worth of aid from America, one way or the other. Now you imagine if half of that amount of money was given to American people, hardworking people who are working to drive the economy, who are working to stabilize the country. They didn't get that aid. They didn't get it. Somebody else who's got nothing to do with American people, nothing whatsoever. Ukraine's got nothing to do with American people, and the war has nothing to do with American people either. It's nothing to do with us, but we have to give them aid to continue that war because America's fighting a proxy war with Russia, and America's already lost that war, whether it believes it or not. America's also lost the war in Yemen, in the Red Sea. Why, you ask the question, why is America losing that war against unknown people, unknown Arab people, Yemen people? Why is America losing that war? Let me tell you one thing clear. America will never win that war. UK will never win it. I wrote many years ago, 20 years ago, I wrote my book, 2 books, at least 3 maybe, on this subject. And one thing I pointed out that these two will be together, the United Kingdom and America, and I've been proven right that they have come together, whilst many other nations shied and didn't want to send their troops and they were afraid, but these two stuck together, and those are the two that predominantly you see fighting in the Yemen war. Now, I didn't say further than that, what will happen, exactly who will win, and what will be the small battles that will take place. Well, I'll tell you right now what small battles will take place. America will try to defeat the Houthi fighters, and America has already lost that war. And this is not to be in favoritism of one party versus another. Because I live in America, I got to favorite them. No, I'm not going to favorite anybody. I'm simply going to tell you why these things are occurring, and then you can work it out yourself why the war is lost. Listen, Let me tell you two things. Number one, a lot of part of the land of Saudi Arabia is holy to us. Why is it holy to us? Because our people crossed that land and they traversed that land for 40 years before they entered Israel. The Red Sea area is holy to us. Okay? And so any entity, doesn't matter what they label they give their country name, they will get smashed over there. Any entity that crosses that land that is holy, any entity that crosses that area that is holy to God. Yeah, remember? God's mountain is still in Saudi Arabia. That is holy to us. And remember that the Red Sea area is holy to us, where we crossed to get into the land, promised land. So what do you think is going to happen to nefarious entities? Entities that only go there for agenda-based solutions for themselves. What do you think is going to happen to them? Do you think that the Yemen people just stood up because, they just decided to fight a war? No. God's hand is behind these things. I told you before, several years ago, that do not underestimate the Islamic nations. And a lot of you have underestimated them, and you have thought, no, we got superior weapons and all that. And I told you, your superior weapons will be smashed to death. They will be smashed left, right, and center. And look what happened. The so-called superior weapons are being destroyed. And if you don't believe me, listen to the recent report, last weekend. The report that came that Yemen apparently fired, was it 57 or was it something number of drones at American ships in the Red Sea, and America only intercepted, I think it was less than 27 they intercepted, and the rest actually smashed into target. What does that show you? That shows you what I said is true, that God can raise up people against you. What happened when we committed violations of the Torah, when we committed sins in the past? What did God do? God raised up the Syrian Empire against us to defeat us. Then we went right for a while, then we committed sins again. And what did God do? God raised the Babylonian Empire against us. So to defeat us, he sent Nebuchadnezzar. He came, smashed through Israel, smashed Jerusalem, and took the people slaves. Have we seen that in the past? Yes, we have. So am I saying now what I'm saying makes sense to you? It should 100% make sense to you. Right now, the land that we call holy, the land that we call chosen, or promised land, and for the chosen people, a lot of things are taking place. A lot of nefarious people, unrighteous people are trying to take advantage of things which they shouldn't be taking advantage of. And so God always has means and ways of deterring that. And I see right now, what's going on right now in Yemen and Red Sea and those areas, I just see that as a deterrence. God just raises people up just as a deterrence, nothing else. And so they're deterring them from achieving their means. Now, one thing highlighted, or at least two things are highlighted, in my opinion. Number one, that Russia, in some way, shape, or form, may be supporting the war on the other side, because it's a proxy war. Iran may be supporting the war on the other side. It's a proxy war. America has been fighting Iran for many years, under guise. So the two things that have become apparent, that American weapons have proven to be useless, next to useless, in the Yemen war. They have proven to be not so great in the Russia war between Ukraine and Russia. So where is America weak? Under the present government or under the present system, America has shown weakness in its technology. What does America need to do? I guess, scientists or the so-called brains in America will say, hey, we need to develop more superior weapons, because surely, if we're not winning the war and we haven't won it, listen, America has been fighting in Ukraine for over a year now. Has it won the war? No. What does that prove to you? America needs to go back to the drawing board, because America is waning in its power. The power is waning, is declining. Superpower is no longer superpower. In order to maintain the superpower status, you have to maintain the research and development of your country. That, I believe, is where America is weak and needs to go back to the drawing board and starts to do more of that. America, instead of giving free handouts to Ukraine, America needs to give handouts to its own people, its own scientist community, educated people that are there, that are developing new things for America. America needs to do that. When America does that, then America can shine to the rest of the world. Unfortunately, because we've got involved with unrighteous wars, we are not shining so bright as we should be. That's my recommendation to America, whoever is listening to me. This is what you need to do. You need to go back to the drawing board. You need to pump that money instead of to Ukraine or give it to Israel. Don't give it to Israel. Don't give it to Ukraine. Give that money to your own people. Help the American people. Give money to your scientific community so that they can develop new technologies. Russia is already planning to go to the moon to establish nuclear power plants there and put their missile bases there, and great, that's good for them. Happy for them. I think we need to do likewise, is we need to make new development. And this is where America has proven to be weak in the Middle East. And I think the planners, the military planners in America, they will probably already see that. What I'm saying is already apparent to them behind the scenes. Now, if you want to hear more, and you want to, you want it to be kind of put into numbers, then there's a retired general called McGregor in America. Google him, listen to him, and see what he has to say, and maybe that'll help you to shape your thinking a little bit more. Why the things that are happening, or why these people are not succeeding in those areas. I'd recommend that just as a what do you call it, as a primer. Primer is good. So that's basically the war. Now Pakistan has a new government. India, I think, is next door. Pakistan's government's already come into play. The very government that I wanted in Pakistan has now come into play. Baruch Hashem, good. So, not only the fact that I told my brother last year that I will remove this government of yours that you are so in love with, and I'll smash them into pieces. They won't even be visible, and that's now the case. Let me tell you a story. I went to a local shop which sells bread. I was going to buy some bread, and I was speaking to the guy. He's from the northern tribes. So I said he started talking about his passport. He said, I went to make my passport, and they told me that we won't give you the passport until you remove the word Khan from your passport, because they believe, or at least they think, that all the people that have the word Khan, they are supporters of Imran Khan's previous government. So the guy said to him, no, we won't give you the passport because, change your name. And the guy said, I'm not going to change my name. This is who I am. This is part of my clan, my tribe. I can't change my name. So anyway, back and forth, and eventually the passport guy agreed to give him a passport, but not yet. He said, come next week. He made him wait 3 hours and come next week, Wednesday. We'll look into it and I'll try and fix it then. So he didn't give him the passport, and he was charging him more money than he should. My point is this, that so-called previous government is dead in the water. It's so dead that it's deader than dead. It's so dead. So don't mess with the Kohen. Don't mess with the Kohen, and don't start challenging me for things that I've got, superior power over. And I will do what's necessary to, shut people down who think that they are clever, even if it's my own brother. So my point is this, that this is where we are. Pakistan's got its new government, and there's a lot of things that the new government is doing in the Punjab region, which I think are very, very good for people who are struggling. They're going to reduce their bills. They're going to reduce the price of bread, price of, oil has already, the first thing they did, they came and reduced the price of oil, petrol and gas. The first thing that they did, they reduced those prices. And now they're going to do other things to help the people who are struggling, and I think that's great. and they are setting up, call centers, and they are trying to make new jobs and other things. A lot of things are happening. There's a lot of big change going on over here. I believe all this big change is going to be for the good, and I'm happy with that. That's great. I think similarly, in America, next year, we're going to get a new president, and I believe America is going to get a lot of changes. Great changes are coming for America. So let's just, wait and see when this happens, because right now, although the stock market is an all-time high, all looks good, but on the front, outside of America, things are not looking so rosy, where America's power is at a sharp decline. So this is where we are basically right now. And I think, many years ago, 10 years ago, I saw the, writing on the wall back then, and I said to my family that was living in the UK, I said, send your children that you're educating, send them outside, send a few of them outside the country. Maybe you send them to America, maybe you send them to Australia, wherever, but get them out of the UK. And they didn't listen. They did not listen, and they carried on in their blind sight ideas, and they stayed in UK. And what happened UK? I left UK. Of course, if I'm telling them to leave, I'm going to leave before them. I left the UK 8 years ago, and they stayed, and guess what now? So my brother puts out a message saying that the education in UK is so unethical right now that, our children are going to just go down the drain and gutter, basically, because if they continue to receive this education here, they will have no life, because the education is very unethical. And left it at that. He said, he was talking about himself, that our time is past, but it's only past because you said so, because you didn't listen to your elder brother. You're all idiots. You didn't listen, and now you're going to pay the price for it. And he said that our children should leave this country and move abroad somewhere else. He said people in England, people in UK are leaving in droves to go to Malaysia, to go to Indonesia, to go to other places. Listen, many expats from the United Kingdom are living in Indonesia, in Bali and other places, and they are paying like $300. Yeah, $300, which is about 250 pounds. 250 pounds rent a month, and living in really nice looking apartments, and their expenditure for a month is what? Is like they can live a really luxury life in places like Bali and some other countries for around, and I'm talking about luxury life. I'm talking about swimming pools. I mean, you don't have to be that luxurious. You don't have to live such a luxurious life. But let's just say they are. For $1,500. $1,500 a month pays for their luxury life. Listen, you don't have to live in that kind of luxury. You can live in a modest luxury. Modest luxury means that you don't have to have a swimming pool in your apartment. You can still have a nice life. You don't have to go to discos every night and drinking every night and to the beach every day. You don't have to. So if you didn't do any of that, you could for $700 to $800, you could live that life in Bali, you could live it in Thailand, you could live it in Malaysia and other places, and so on and so forth. I spoke to a friend of mine in the US, and the friend's daughter, they have a farm and they have other things going on and property, and I said to them, listen, this is just an observation. I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm just giving an observation. And these people, they own farmland. They grow soybeans and other crops, I guess, and sell them at the market. They also raise cattle. And I said, listen, their property, my estimation, I could be wrong and you could correct me. I said, in my estimation, their property that they have, the acreage of land and the cattle they raise, I said, I reckon they got about $1.5 to $2 million worth of land and property, and businesses that are within it. I said, and they are living normal lives. They're not living luxurious lives. They just drive a car like every other American, and they have regular, and they're even working. The wife also works in the Whirlpool factory. And the husband was working there before as well, but is now doing more of his crops. So I said, what a bad way to live. I said, listen, they got $2 million worth of property. If I was in their position, this is what I would do. I would sell the whole property. Boom, all sold. $2 million collected. Collect the $2 million. I said I would hop off to another country like Dubai or UAE or Abu Dhabi or one of those places, and I would go and make $1 million investment there. Boom. Maybe $1.5 million investment right into property. I put it into property or whatever businesses that you aspire to. Maybe put some into crypto. Not all of it, some of it into crypto, but the majority of into real estate over there, and rent out the properties. I said, do you know that woman, that lady, is going to a job and collecting, maybe she's making, I don't know, let's say she's making $1,800, $2,000 salary a month from Whirlpool, and $15, $20 an hour. And I said, if she went to Dubai or UAE and put her money into the business over there, I said, this woman and her husband, they have no children. I said they could live a luxury life just off of their estate. I said they could rent out properties in Dubai, and they will be collecting $10,000, maybe $10,000 to $12,000 a month rent, and her salary is only $2,000 a month. So I said, how stupid is that? Her husband is not brainy enough. Well, you don't need to be brainy. You just need to use your common sense. I said, and common sense is not common. I said her husband could simply, go buy properties over there, and the properties values will appreciate over time because he's renting them. And he could rent an apartment. He doesn't need to buy an apartment. He rents it. Of the rent that he gets, if he collects $12,000 rent, say he bought $1 million worth of property, and he leaves the other $1 million in America, maybe rent property rentals or whatever, other businesses he put in the US. I said he could be living off that $1 million rental, the $1 million properties that he has. He collects $12,000 rent. He lives off that rent, and he also rents for himself in a nice little apartment. A nice little apartment will cost $1,000 in Dubai, and he has $9,000 surplus income. Listen, $9,000 surplus income to live the life he wants to with his wife. Isn't that something that he should be doing? And guess what he's doing? No, he's not. He's actually living in America. He still does his farming. His wife goes to the job every day, and that's the life they're living. Think about what I just said. See, you just need to have common sense and a little intelligence, and if you put it to use, you could change your life. A lot of you in America are doing that. And unfortunately, that you don't have the right person to guide you. I know somebody who was only collecting $900 and something a month. And I told that person, I said, listen, 900 something a month, if he lived in America, he would get $1,100 from the government, ISS or whatever they call it, SSI. So I said, if you collect that money in America, you get $1,100. If you live outside America, you get 900 something. I said, listen, in America, you'll be a poor person for $1,100. You won't be able to afford to pay your bills. I said, your rent will be high, your bills will be high, and because he was somewhere out there in some Los Angeles, California side, and I said, you'll be way too much, and you won't be able to support. You'll be a poor man in America at $1,100 in California. I said, are you an idiot or what? I said, listen. Leave America, take your pension or whatever it is, your ISS or SSI, whatever they call it. I said, take it to another country. Go to the East, whatever you want to, Philippines or maybe another country that you like, and live over there. I said, I encourage you to go to Pakistan, live in Pakistan. My encouragement is different. I tell you, no, don't live in Philippines, go and live in your own people. Pakistan, live over there, and your expenditure will be $700 a month. You still save $200, and you live your life, whatever God has given you the days of your life. You live it a blessing life, and you be a happy man. But in America, you'll be struggling to pay your bills. You're struggling to pay your rent. You're struggling to buy your clothes. what the heck? This is not what we come for over here. Anyway, so what that guy did, that guy went and started to live out in Philippines somewhere, I think in Manila. He made a base in Manila. He collects his 900 something in Manila and he lives over there and he's happy. He's like, you know what? I'm happy over here. I don't want to live in America. I collect my 900 something here and I'm happy to live my life here, and it's cheaper here, much cheaper than in America. So my point is that most of you, the so-called American, students of mine who are earning much more than that, what are you doing? You're wasting your life in America. Listen, the world is very short. Nowadays, most of you can do remote jobs. Remote working. A lot of the companies in America are now paying people to work remotely. And they don't want you to come to the offices. Only few companies do. Why? Because office space is expensive in America. So what they're doing is they're running their IT businesses or whatever businesses remotely, and a lot of your stuff is done remotely. Unless you have to deal with property and you're in real estate and you have to go and show homes and sell them and all that, that's different. But if you're working in IT or any other job that allows you remote working, some of you could be living abroad at a lot discount and working remotely. Some of you who are getting into digital businesses, like digital nomads, if you're getting into digital businesses, then you definitely want to be living in a cheaper country and paying less rent and collecting the same money that you would collect in America and have a peaceful and, livable life. That's my recommendation to you. So anyway, that was just to show you that God has blessed you. God is continuing to bless you. But some of you don't have the brains and the intelligence to think for yourself. So maybe, that will cause you to change your attitude and change your mind. So, after this talk, maybe that will help you. Coming to Deuteronomy 28, to the lecture point. And it shall come to pass, if you shall listen carefully to the voice of Yahoshua your power, to guard and to do all the commandments which I command you this day, that Yahoshua your power will elevate you high above all nations of the world. Now, why is it that God tells us that all of us will be elevated high above all the nations of the earth, yet majority of us, many of us, are still struggling? Why? It says, and all these blessings shall come on you and overtake you, if you shall listen carefully to the voice of Yahoshua your power. Well, God's not going to come down over here to whisper in your ear. That's the first thing. God's going to send His Kohanim, His priesthood that He established, and they are the ones that are God's voice today. That would be me and anybody in my capacity and lineage. So, that's number one thing. Number two, that God says if you listen carefully, many of you don't tithe. Many of you don't want to give Zadaqah. You don't want to tithe. You think, yeah, I'm okay, I can do whatever I want to. And God will still bless me. And guess what? God's going to put your face in the mud and roll it in the mud. And then you're going to see, I was wrong. And, there's a guy, Ghanaian guy maybe. He keeps writing to me. And, first time he wrote to me, I haven't got I'm stuck in a case. They're going to jail me and please help, pray for me. And, I prayed for him, made the mistake of praying for him. He got out of, jail. He got free. He got his job. And guess what? He never sent a penny of his tithe money. He didn't do it. Second time he comes around and does the same thing. And then, third time, I ignore him. I delete his email. Third time. Yeah, that's what you're going to get now. So, if you are in violation of the Torah, I'm not going to respond to you. I don't care who you are. Mr. President or not, I don't care. So, for me, for you to be in Torah, in compliance with Torah, those of you who've been in compliance with Torah, those of you who sent your tithes, those of you who supported the work that we did in the past, God will tremendously bless you. God will continue to bless you. God will never forsake you. But those of you who made a fun and game of it, who said, it's okay, I don't need to, I can, do it for myself. Guess what? I'm not going to respond to you, and God's not going to respond to you either. You're going to have your face in the mud, and you should stay in the mud. Good for you, and I'm going to support that. That's what I'm going to support from now on. So, those of my students who are faithful, who are sincere, God is going to bless you. God is going to tremendously lift you up. 2024 is going to be a year of transformation for many of you. A year of blessing for many of you. And Baruch Hashem, I live to see that, and I live to see you uplifted and be greatly blessed. This is what it means. Deuteronomy 28, the passage of blessing is for those that are faithful. And it shall come to pass, if you shall listen carefully to the voice of Yud-Heh-Vah, your power to guard and to do all his commandments which I command you this day, that Yud-Heh-Vah, your power will elevate you high above all nations of the world. And all these blessings shall come on you and overtake you. The blessings will overtake you if you shall listen carefully to the voice of Yud-Heh-Vah. It means his priesthood, your power. Blessed shall you be in the city, and blessed shall you be in the field. Blessed shall you be in the fruit of your body. Listen, my student in Pakistan, one of my students, he, struggled for many years. He wasn't able to get married. He was struggling, every, marriage that was going to occur never occurred. Mom didn't agree, or they didn't agree, or the girl didn't like him or something. Eventually got married. And just not last week, just 2 days ago, his wife gave birth to his second child, a son. First was a daughter, second is a son. So now he's happy. He's got a wife. And I continuously told him, I said, listen, leave your mother's house. Because he had a lot of problems in his mother's house, and he wouldn't leave his mother's house. And he's earning money and he's spending it on his mother and on his brother who doesn't want to work. And he continually went downhill. Eventually, I don't know, it took 2 years, 3 years. Finally listened, and he left his mother's house, and now he's a happy man. So a lot of you struggle, a lot of you face the penalties because you don't listen, because you are ignorant. That's what's the problem. When you don't listen, you face the penalties, you face challenges, and you face problems. So start listening, start paying attention so that you don't face problems. And if you continue to you don't defy God. You don't defy God. God's going to kick you in your backside and he'll send you flying over there in the other end. That's what's going to happen with you, those of you who think you defy God. Blessed shall you be in the city, and blessed shall you be in the field. Blessed shall you be in the fruit of your body, and the fruit of your ground, and the fruit of your cattle, the calves of your herds, and the flocks of your sheep. In other words, God will bless you in your businesses. God will bless you in your homes. God will bless you in your families. Blessed shall be your basket. Blessed shall be your store. Your bank balances will be flourishing. You will be thriving. Blessed shall you be when you come in, and blessed shall you be when you go out. When you come into your families, when you go out, people will respect you. Yud-Heh-Vah shall cause your enemies that rise up against you be struck down before you. They shall come out against you one way and flee 7 ways. When people are against you, and they don't like you, and they want to do mean things, bad things to you, God will stand up on your behalf. He'll send his angelic armies, and they will defeat those people. They will defeat them in their thought processes, in whatever harm they want to do to you. They will be defeated. They will be, destroyed. Period. When do these things happen? Well, let's continue to see when these things happen. These things happen when you listen to God. It says. Let me go down a little bit. Let me go down a little bit and show you where God says what. In verse 15 of Deuteronomy 28, but it shall come to pass if you will not listen to the voice of Yud-Heh-Vah your Father, the Lord your God, to guard and to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command you this day, that all these curses shall come upon you. Okay? So, I won't even read the curses because they are not for my students. They are not for the people who are who are recipient of the Torah, who are doers of the Torah. They are not for those people, so I won't even read them. They are for the people who don't do the Torah, who don't comply. They are for those people. So if you're not one of them, you do not need to worry. Yes, there may come times that are slightly challenging for you. Things happen, slightly challenging things happen, but God will still lift you up. God will lift you up. God will grant you. Listen, those of you looking for jobs, stop complaining about not finding a job. Why the hell aren't you going out there and giving your resumes to the agencies so the agencies can come back to you and give you your jobs? Because some of you are just sitting there on your thumbs, twiddling your thumbs. Oh, when will I get the job? No, you need to go and give out your resumes. You need to go speak to the agencies. I was in America in 1998. What the heck? I was in America. I gave up my job and I found an agency in London. I said, listen, I'm coming to London on so-and-so date and I want to get a job as a software engineer, senior software engineer. And so line up some interviews for me. And you know what? The lady in London lined up 3 interviews straight away after only talking to her one time. The second time she lined up 3 interviews and she said, I've got lined up 3 interviews for you. So okay, let's roll. So a lot of you are sitting on your laurels, twiddling your thumbs. You need to stop twiddling your thumbs and start applying for those, start talking to the agencies. Start talking to reputable agencies that are the ones responsible for your jobs. That's where your job is going to come from. Your job's not going to drop from the, it's not going to drop from the ceiling. You're going to have to talk to people. This is how it works. God works through people. If God works through people, you need to talk to agencies. And if just because you spoke to one agency, that may not be enough. Maybe you need to speak to 3, 4, 5 agencies for your job. And that's where your job is, sitting, waiting for you to come and knock on the door, and the door will be opened for you. And what some of you do, you just sit around, you lounge around. Oh, maybe the old company will call me back. Don't stop lounging around. Get off your butt. That's your problem. Some of you are just sitting on your butt while the job is over there waiting for you. And you're not answering the call. Answer the call. Answer the call and you will be blessed. Baruch Hashem. So, blessings are for those people who are faithful and sincere. And God will find ways to bless you. You'll be like, wow, I didn't think that I was going to get that blessing. And it comes to you. You didn't even know it. That's how the God that we serve, that's how He blesses us. We don't even know it. And something happens. And we don't know if it's going to be good or bad. And then next you get blessed out of it. Blessing comes from it. So blessing will come to you. Blessing will come to you if you do the work. Okay? Do the work. And if you're not willing to do the work, and if you just want to sit on your backside and you expect the roof to, angels to descend from the roof and then, come and bless you, I'm sorry, it doesn't work like that. But anyhow, let me tell you, I was speaking to some people here and in America as well, and I wanted to give you something, a word. The word is Ashwina. And this word Ashwina is a word that if you have health issues, you just say this word Ashwina and it will heal you. Okay? I had somebody, I think a friend in America, student friend, and I had my, wife over here as well. And one day I was just talking to her and I said, what, you use this word if you ever have pain and it will take away your pain. And so one morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, she's having some pains and she said to me, what was that word you gave me? I said Ashwina. So she started to say Ashwina, and before you know it, the pain left her and she fell asleep. And it was perfectly fine the next morning. So I had somebody in America try it. They had some pains, they used it and the pain went away. Then they had a sore throat coming, they used it and the sore throat went away. So that's what I want you to do. That's one of the words I'm giving you today, Ashwina. Now, privately, I have given some of my students another word. I'm not going to put our public, because public people don't deserve it. Those are the people that don't tithe, those that don't do Zadaqah, you don't deserve it. You're not going to get nothing publicly. So publicly, I'm not going to give you, but privately I gave you that word. I want you to use that word. It's very powerful. It's going to bring abundance to your families. It's going to bring abundance to your life. Money will come. Other abundance will come. Abundance comes in many forms. Houses, cars, food. Everything is abundance. Comes in many forms. So do the word that I gave you and you will get your abundance. But do it religiously. Do it every day. Now, I publicly gave you one exercise. I said to you that if you imagine that you have $3 million in your account already, and when you go to bed, I asked you to give thanks for at least 3 things. 3 things, okay? It should be easy. In fact, I'll raise up the amount to 5. Let's give thanks for 5 things. And you might say, well, I'm having a hard time finding 5 things to thank God for. But let me help you. Oxygen. Number one, let's thank God for the oxygen He gives us free of charge. No bill, no VAT, no taxes on it. So we give thanks to God for the oxygen He supplies us. We give thanks for the clothes that we wear every day. We give thanks for the food that you ate today. That's 3 things already. Okay. We give thanks to God for the roof that you're under. That's 4 things. And we give thanks to the transportation that God has provided. That's 5 things. There you have it, 5 things. I can name you 10 things in 3 seconds. I can name you 10 things. So 5 things you want to thank God before you go to bed at night. And then you imagine you have $3 million. If you imagine you have $3 million, now you're going to spend it. I already given you some ideas earlier of what you can do with even $1 million. So now you've got $3 million to spend it, and I want you to make $5,000 off of it. Investment money. Every month, $5,000 should clock into your account, and you're using it to better your life. So, can you do that? Yes, you can do that. Imagine you already have the 3 million, and imagine that you have put some of that money to investment. Maybe 2,500,000, 2.5 million you put it to investment, other 500,000 you spent it on yourself. No worries. 2.5 million should give you 5,000. I can make that money return 10,000 or more every month. But let's just say you return 5,000. $5,000 monthly in your account that you live off. Okay? That's what you want to do. Every night you want to do that exercise. Now, I gave somebody advice just a week ago. I said, listen, Bitcoin is going to at least 80,000 this year. And Bitcoin was at that point, it was around 60,000. I said Bitcoin is going to 80,000. So, if you want, put some investment into it. And guess what? Less than a week later, Bitcoin's already at 70,000. Bitcoin is at 70,000 right now. So I was telling my friend that Bitcoin is going to 80, and I told her, I revised it. I said, listen, Bitcoin is going to maybe go even higher than 80, but at least if you invested any money into it, take half out. Take 50% money out and leave the other 50% in for further growth. So Bitcoin is going places. So is Ethereum. Ethereum, I think, was 38, 39 or somewhere there. And I don't know what's the price today. I mean, I can look it up and tell you. Ethereum is at $39.36. Bitcoin is right now at $69,911. So these two are going places. So there's other coins as well. I asked my friend to invest in Shiba Inu, and she did, and she said that it's doing really well. So I'm happy for her. So that was cryptocurrency. Now, let's talk about you. Those of you who are sincere, those of you who, do the things that God requires you to do. You keep the Sabbaths, you keep the festivals, you do the tithing, and God's going to bless you. And don't take challenging times as a problem time. No, God will bless you. Just be diligent. Remember what I just said. Get off your bums, get off your backside, and go out there and start doing the things I tell you. I told you that every morning you take these blessings. You take these blessings in Psalm 28, and you can just read them as they are. You can just read them as they are. Blessed shall you be in the city, blessed shall you be in the field, blessed shall you be in the fruit of your body, the fruit of your ground, the fruit of your cattle, calves of your herds, the flocks of your sheep. Just like that. You don't need to change anything. Just read it just like that. Or if you prefer, you can personalize it to I or we, if you're a husband and wife. Or you can leave it as it is. And you can read those blessings, write them out, take them from the Bible, write them out, and every morning read them. That is an exercise you must do. Okay? I want you to do that exercise. Second thing I ask you to do, which you must, is you must have a cold shower in the morning. Okay? Get away from this cushy feeling of having nice warm showers. If you want to do your nice warm shower, you can do it in the evening. Do a cold shower in the morning. That cold shower in the morning will give you a dopamine effect. It will raise your focus, consciousness. It will raise your immunity by giving you more white blood cells. It will reduce the inflammation in your body. It will speed up your metabolism. So if you were trying to lose weight, you will start losing weight. It will do all of those things, but only if you listen. If you don't listen, what are you doing over here? Go do something else. Don't waste my time. Go do something else. You shouldn't even be listening to me. But if you are willing to do the work, take a cold shower in the morning, then come after the cold shower, you do the exercises I gave you. I gave you a Tony Robbins primer. You don't need to do Tony Robbins primer. I don't always do that. I do my own. I have my own, so I don't need to follow Tony Robbins primer. I do my primer. My primer involves doing the meditation for the grounding. I do the grounding meditation. After the grounding meditation, I do the other one, which helps me for visualization, imagination. So I have my own setup, that I run. So, just run. I've given you those meditations in the past free. They're on the website, they're on the YouTube, and they are free. They are out there. You can pull them down and you can do them. So if you do those, and they should be an everyday thing. They're not a 1 week and then after that you forget about it. You do it every week religiously. And if you do that, you will do well. I've given you the angelic blessing one as well. I gave you one that was the Michael blessing meditation. That's also online. So you can pull that down and you can do that. You can run it off the YouTube, or you can pull it down. If you run it off the YouTube every day and you follow it, follow the advice in there, follow the action, you will do well. So do that. I want you to do it. I want you to do the due diligence. Do your due diligence. And God is here to bless you. God will never forsake you. God is here to bless you. You're written in the palms of His hands. How can He forsake you? God will bless you. God will tremendously lift you up. But I want you to start to be a little bit more serious with your life. Start doing the things I'm asking you to do, okay? With that, I'm going to say have a happy Sabbath and a wonderful new week ahead. And until next time, until we speak again, I will only respond to emails to those of you, my students, who are actually complying with what I have asked you to do. If you don't comply, if you've written to me in the past and you never even one day willing to tithe, then I'm not going to respond to your email. You're nobody. I don't know you. Okay? So take care of yourselves. Oh yeah, and those of you who wanted to get the seal of Angel Gabriel and the other things that my student over here is going to make, my student's wife just gave birth like 2 days ago. So he's a little bit busy, a little bit involved. And I have asked him to get back to me when he's free. And then I can ask him, let me know by email if any of you want the seal of Gabriel. There was one person who asked me. I will have that one reserved. Anybody else wants it, let me know. 10 Commandments, the 72 names of God. And I can, I can bring them to America. I'm going to be traveling soon, so I'll bring them myself. Or I'll have them posted, one or the other. Okay, so until then, have a wonderful, wonderful time. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Shabbat Shalom to you.